So here we go with another 10-minute teardown. 10-minute teardowns are 5 to 10-minute conversations where I quickly look at copy, content, structure, some of the narrative and brand elements of VCs, private equity firms, and technology companies' websites. I'm focusing here on Ignition Partners, a Seattle area-based VC, keeping with the Pacific Northwest theme. I am a Seattle guy after all. So let's look first at the homepage here. What I do like is there is some specificity here in this hero statement. So again, most VCs struggle with generic web copy, bland, benign statements about who they are. I mean, candidly. So this is encouraging to see Ignition start off with quantifying a little bit of their impact. So for over 20 years, they've backed founders of category-creating enterprise software companies. Now, category-creating enterprise software companies is not too descriptive, actually. So what does that actually mean? What does category-creating mean? So I would encourage them to define that a little bit, because what we want is we want a founder or somebody who's looking at this website to connect whatever project they're participating in or project that they're behind or company that they're considering founding to connect with whatever it is that Ignition is about, whatever their expertise is, whatever they have gotten behind. So let's talk about what category creating is a little bit more. As we move down, they feature some of their portfolio companies, which is helpful from a brand perspective. I would want to make sure that there is some consistency around maybe the software type or the business model or something else here. So if this is a random collection of software companies, what is that? How does that differentiate Ignition to a founder or somebody else who's at this site? Because again, we are trying to, with the website, and for VCs in particular in competitive markets, we have to differentiate some way. We have to establish our value prop and what makes us different, to build trust, to build credibility, so that when somebody who has a company that's right in our wheelhouse is looking for funding, we are their go-to partner. Okay, so make sure there's some consistency there. Having these select prior investments is nice from just a legitimizing standpoint. So when you see Cloudera and DocuSign and Splunk and others, having some big brands here is helpful. They essentially speak for themselves. What I would do, and I have this other tab pulled up here though, is I would actually consider bringing over some of the ideas that are found on the About page over to the home page. Like why do these need to be buried over here? Just because everybody has an About page doesn't mean we have to have one. So this why partner with Ignition. Having this video here and letting the CEO of BotKeeper essentially validate the firm value prop is a great way of going about doing this. It's sort of that classic, but don't take our word for it, right? So I like that they start out with this, and I'll give them kudos here. This is one of the better sort of sales narratives that I've seen on a VC firm site. Now it is a little bit dense text, however, so they use subheadings effectively. So my eyes drawn here, we're focused on early stage enterprise software. Okay, so they've planted their flag in the sand. Now it's still a little bit of a broad kind of value prop or broad differentiating statement. A lot of firms do early stage enterprise software. A lot of firms, in fact, all firms essentially are composed of experienced and connected operators. This is interesting. I might pull this up to the top. They only do a few investments a year. So if that is really a firm philosophy, let's talk about the impact of that. So I would bring this up to the top, and then underneath it, instead of just sort of this left aligned block text, I would say, why does this matter, right? So don't just tell me that you make a few investments, connect it to the benefit to a founder. So if they only make a few investments a year, you could either have a testimonial from a CEO or a founder who said, because Ignition only works with, only does 3 deals a year, I had their partners get on a plane overnight when we were in our biggest crisis, right? So something like that. So something to validate that this statement actually matters, okay? So what else could they talk about? Is there something in their, with sort of a subdomain or sub-industry within enterprise software that they are proficient in? Maybe it's AI or ML, or it looks like They have deep conviction around ML-enabled vertical industry transformation. So that's a mouthful. Let's talk like we're talking to humans. What does that actually mean? All right. So let's say and call out explicitly these benefits, and let's talk like we're having a conversation, right? So again, there is pros and cons of video up here. One is, have we earned the right to have our site visitors click a video? We don't know how long this is. That is an investment of time and resources, even though it might just be a few minutes. It's still an investment. So I would consider maybe moving this down, establishing founder benefits earlier on, and then at that point, once you've warmed up to your audience and you have shown them what they're, why you matter to them, and that they know enough now to care about you, then I would I'd place this video. Last thing I'm going to say here is let's look at the blog. So our thoughts, maybe there's just a way to reframe that, right? So instead of making it about Ignition and their perspective, what if we discuss this in through the lens of the founder? Okay, so insights for founders over 20 years, or maybe this is the thematic page too. So right now I see advice for startups focused in energy. I have rethinking AI for financial processes. So there's a value conversation here, and then there's CIO advice. So it's not bad to have sort of multiple topical threads, but there's no rhyme or reason here. And then of course we see 4 posts only. So having this dormant blog, true or not, has some implicit suggestions that we don't either know or we don't care enough to publish. Now, I realize firms are busy and they're probably working with founders, and so they don't have time to blog. So what if we did some other pieces? What if we took interviews, or what if we focused on portfolio companies here, or gleaned learnings from portfolio companies' news and turned those into little sound bites and interesting things, so we could pepper those in alongside the blog. Right now, this just feels like there's a bit of an identity crisis on this page. Okay, so some good stuff here. I do like that they're not overwhelming me with text on the front page. They let the brand speak for themselves. But I also think that this is a sharp firm with a tremendous amount of perspective, and they could create some more significant content pieces, maybe some guides, maybe some ebooks, things like that we could profile on the front page of the site, parse those out, turn them into blogs to start to rev some blog copy, and then bring forward the distinct value props that are on this about page here. Really emphasize, and even just visually, I would turn this into some sort of table, some sort of box, 3 boxes about why Ignition, why now? And we focus on early stage enterprise. Here's why this matters to you. We're an experienced team. Here's why this matters to you. And we are going to emphasize those with real world, real stories, videos, quotes, testimonials, things like that. Okay. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time.